joining us. Why should we absolve the NPP government, which were part of our responsibility for the current challenges that this government is facing in paying the salaries of these health workers?
Charles, thank you very much. And first and foremost, let me say a very good evening to you and your cherished listeners. Charles, from the point where you started, I find it a bit curious.
Okay.
But let's address the issue as they are. First and foremost, you cannot blame the NPP government for any challenges in the health service or the health sector in our country. It lies directly and solely at the doorsteps of the Mahama-led administration. Charles, somewhere around July of 2024, I think on the 17th of July 2024, financial clearance were given to 15,200 cohorts of professionals in the health sector. Almost about 13,000 of them were nurses and midwives. Charles, if you look at how it is, there are about three institutions that will probably take them on. That's, you're looking at the Ministry of Health, where the teaching hospitals fall under. You're also looking at the CHAG, that is the Christian Health Association of Ghana. And you're also looking at the Ghana Health Services, where all other categories of health facilities fall under, with the exception of the teaching hospitals and those that are managed by CHAG, that is the Christian Health Services Association. When financial clearances are given, Charles, they run for a period of about 1 year.
Okay.
Because the country runs a 1 year cycle fiscal policy, that is the budget. The budget starts from January 1 to the 31st of December of each year. So the financial clearance that was given in 2024 would automatically have come to an end in December. However, financial clearances mean that monies have been allocated for some specific purposes. And in this particular case, it was meant for the health sector recruitment of about 15,200 individuals. Those of CHAC and those of the teaching hospitals, that is the ministry, went through very fast. But looking at the enormity of the Ghana Health Service, that delayed. So if you reckon, the minister said that about 7,000 or so individuals have been put already on the payroll. Those individuals started last year and not this year. So the one that delayed, and in any case, once the financial clearance is given, it's accommodated into the budget, and year on, budgets are made. So it tells you that in last year, when the financial clearance was given, there was an allocation of money that was meant for that particular purposes to pay these 15,000 individuals. So those that were not paid, that is why the ranking member on the committee said there is money allocated for them and ought to have been used to pay them. So wherever that money is, the current administration must answer for that. That is the first point I would want to make. But secondly, Charles, every year budgets are drawn in this country. It comes to Parliament, and one of the greatest line item in it is compensation. And compensation refers to the pay or the salaries that are given to government health workers, established posts, and all other ones. So once financial clearances are made, you obviously cannot even come to tell me that it was given in last year and therefore it cannot accommodate for this year. It therefore tells me that you did not actually plan for them. Because, Charles, for individuals that have worked in this country, say for about 10 years, there were people who were recruited somewhere around 2004 and 2014. Financial clearances were given then. Is anybody telling me, or is the minister telling me, or is the Mahama-led administration telling us that once financial clearances are given, money should be allocated in perpetuity for those individuals to be recruited, such that even if it's 30 years, 20 years that the person will be in employment, money should be sitting there? No. A prudent government every year makes a budget and ought to have included these individuals in it in 2025, because the budget ought to have accommodated for them. You did not do that. You left them for political expediency, that to create a certain level of agitation in the system, which you could have blamed on the SYL NPP government. That is not going to fly this time around. If they were prudent enough and they had our health sector workers in mind, especially the nurses and the midwives and even the doctors, they would have budgeted for them. Akwasi brought us a budget in March. And that budget included compensation. That budget included line items of what they wanted to do in this year. So if indeed they had them at heart, they would have included them in it, because we gave the financial clearance for them to be absorbed in 2024. And in 2025, should we have been there, the budget that we would have drawn would have included compensation, which would have catered for them. So we are telling the minister, going for cabinet approval is a no-no. It obviously tells us that you had a certain political mindset of how you wanted to deal with the situation. Because let me ask you, if you had included them in the budget, and for those individuals, about 7,000 of them, which you had included in the budget and are being paid, are you going for cabinet approval for them? Because budgets are already approved by cabinet. So should you have included them in March, that the budget was read, obviously, you would not have needed a cabinet approval in October for them to have been paid. So is he telling me that they are going to be paid their back pay for 10 months, or the cabinet approval would only be for them moving on in November? So Charles, the situation at hand now is a situation created by the Mahama-led administration and the health ministry that they ought to deal with it and not bring the NPP into this matter at all.
Okay.
They must take seriously the health sector and its workers seriously, because somewhere about 2 or 3 months ago, the nurses went on another strike. We are hoping and praying that the agreements that were reached with them will not be fall on, so that they would go back into another agitation and they will come and blame us. Not at all. Financial clearance have been given. They ought to have included them in the 2025 budget, which they did not do. They must find an appropriate means of addressing this issue rather than turn their back to blame us.
All right, Honorable, your side seems to be accusing the government of politicizing this very issue, but you are also aware that this administration has been implementing some austere measures to sort of bring the economy back on track, and that included auditing of these recruitments. So 10-month period is a reasonable period for the government to have done this auditing. Isn't it fair?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, with all due respect, do you in any way imagine, and are you telling every single person tonight that if you would want to audit nurses and midwives recruitment, it has to take you 10 months for you to audit that before you'll be able to pay them? Just let's not do this and try to create an explanation for the government that is untenable.
All right.
Charles, that is not right. 10 months. Let me ask you a very simple question. Is any of the government appointees telling us that for the period of them being in office, say 2 or 3 months, they've not been paid?
Well, the Labour Minister has told us that ministers have not been paid.
No, that is a sham of an excuse, so that at least it would have just doused down. But I think even if that is the case, he ought not to even have put that as an excuse why the nurses and midwives were not being paid.
All right.
Because you see, once you do that, you are only telling us that is why we say it's political. You want to create a certain level of agitation in the system, then you will cause to be finding a solution to it. Therefore, you will come back to be said to be praised for it. That is a no-no at all. Let me give you a classical example. You remember the nurse that went on talking about some sort of drama in the rest. I just don't want to go by her words and say that in any way her words were right or anything. Yes, I don't condone those words. But you see, there was a cause for a certain letter of credit to be given, and then we fall back to say that the minister or the ministry has granted amnesty to her so that she will not be queried on all those matters. We create the situation, we create the problem, turn around, knowing very well we have the solutions, only to just try to have a way at solving it. Then we'll come back to say, oh, the situation, we are resolving it, and therefore we need to pay. Nobody can tell me that 10 months is a time that you can probably say you use to justify, say, auditing of 6,500 outstanding nurses, so that you tell them that is an excuse, right? No, Charles, let's not do that to them.
All right. I'm grateful to you, Honorable Akwasi Konadu, Member of Parliament for Menchia North and a member of the Health Committee of the House. Let's do in Kumasi still, the Kumasi Metropolitan